Good morning and welcome back. It is 9:29 on this Monday morning.
Joining us now to look back at the weather this month is meteorologist Christian Bridges. Happy Monday, you guys.
Happy Monday. Happy
We're
last
here.
day of June
Yeah,
as
I know.
well. Hard to believe that July starts tomorrow. And yeah, it was kind of a memorable month, I would say, for the weather.
So.
Yeah,
Definitely.
all over the place with weather for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
we had some really cool wet Saturdays, earlier in the month. Then we had the incredible historic heat wave, which we had last week with the upper 90s, 100-degree temperatures in Maine. Still can't believe that we saw that in the month of June.
I kind of forgot about it.
I know, me
right?
too.
I know. And then things cooled right back down at the end of the month. So, we really were all over the place. Definitely a memorable month. And in fact, we had the hottest June temperature ever recorded in most of the state last week with that heat wave. So yeah, pretty wild. So yeah, June definitely pretty memorable. And you can see when it comes to our temperature, of course, we got to 99 in Portland on the 24th of the month last week. That was the new hottest temperature for the month of June. Pretty crazy. You can see you've lived through the hottest June day on record pretty much in all of Maine. This was the case. Now, in terms of precipitation, it was a very dry month. Of course, a lot of the times the rain did end up falling on the weekend. We had that one great Saturday earlier in the month of June, but this was, of course, a fairly dry month because we didn't see too much rain outside of those weekend wet days. So 2.19 inches, that's nearly 2 inches below average. And of course, with no rain in the forecast today, that will end up our monthly total. Coldest temperature was 44 degrees on the 15th, and funny, it was only 9 days before we were 99 degrees, so kind of funny how that worked out. But yeah, a drier and slightly warmer than normal month, but really, when it's within a degree of the average, it's really just a typical month. The cooler weather earlier in the month and the very hot weather last week sort of balanced each other out. So here's a look at our calendar. Notice a pretty decent mix of blue squares with below average days and red squares with above average days. So again, the month ended up actually fairly typical overall when it comes to temperatures, although there's nothing typical about hitting 99 degrees. Still pretty crazy to see that on the temperature map. Again, the hottest temperature recorded in the month of June. And when it comes to precipitation, we saw just over 2 inches. Our average is about 4 inches or so. So yeah, I've noticed that some of the grass in some spots starting to get a little crunchy, getting a little dry. So yeah, definitely being about 2 inches below average for the month, definitely helped that to be the case. So we'll see if maybe drought starts to be introduced in July if things end up staying fairly dry. Speaking of here's what we're looking ahead to in the month. Our average high for tomorrow, the first day of July, is 78. Rises to about 80, and that's usually our warmest average high temperature that continues through early August. So by the end of the month, average highs right around 80 degrees, average lows in the low 60s. Average precipitation, July tends to be one of our drier months, 3.43 inches of rain, so a little less than what we typically see in the month of June. The hottest temperature, I don't know if we'll get that this year, in July is 100 degrees. That's the hottest we've gotten in the month of July in our history in Portland. We already broke June's record. Hopefully July's record stays safe. I don't think most of us want extreme heat and humidity back again. And we lose, of course, we are now losing daylight every day, 47 minutes of daylight, which will probably become noticeable more towards the middle and end of the month. You might notice the sunset starting to get a little bit earlier, but through the first or second day of July, we still have the latest sunsets of the year to enjoy. So that's kind of nice. In terms of temperatures, yeah, probably going to end up above average for temperatures in the month of July. That's what we are currently favored to be here in New England. And I think a lot of us will be happy to hear, especially if you've got some fun vacations or trips planned, or you just want to enjoy Maine during this month. Precipitation expected to be at least near normal, maybe slightly above normal in extreme southern Maine and into southern New Hampshire. Couldn't rule that out, but it does not overall look like a soaking wet month at this point. But I would expect a good amount of heat and humidity, though, through the month, you guys. So yeah, hopefully we end up with a great 4th of July and we get all the rest of the weekends of the month with great weather for everyone to enjoy. That would be perfect.
I hope it's dry. I heard you say it typically is a little bit drier in July, but man, we need that.
We do, I know.
Yeah.
It's also an interesting point that you made about how, because it felt like June was really wet, probably because of the days that it fell on, but I also noticed my lawn getting a little crunchy.
Yep.
I'm like, wait a second, like I thought that it got so much rain. There was a time, maybe it was May was a pretty wet month.
May was very wet, and I think that there was a lot of like light rain sort of days in the month of June, days where it didn't rain a ton, but it was kind of gloomy, maybe drizzly. That doesn't add up though, so that's why it was ending up drier than normal. But still, it felt wet, right? Because it was every Saturday basically that it rained. So
I know we got the sprinkler back out for our lawn.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
because we don't want it to get too
yeah,
dried
no,
out.
you don't want the yard to get all brown and patchy. So yeah, you might be needing to water a little bit more, especially with the very warm forecast all week this week.
You're right.
Sounds great.
All right, Christian, thanks so much for that look back at June.